No, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so could you please anyone briefly discuss what is covered so far? Yes, madam.
Sir, for the other one, it was okay.
Huh?
Yeah,
Madam, come again.
Yes, sir. Actually, the other person, he has told about the different job opportunities, the challenges in data science. These topics he has covered. He told about the comparison between AI and ML. Then about the research field, he has taken only very little part.
Okay. So how many presentation you had?
It was only 1.5 hours.
Oh, only one session we had so far.
Yes. Not so far. Today he has handled only one session and already 4 days covered.
Yeah, that's what I want. I know, madam. What are the things they covered? Briefly, just 2 minutes you can give me so that I will take it to that direction. That's all.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sir. In last days, we have deal about data science and its practical applications. We had a hands-on session from Usha ma'am, Sunil sir and all in Google Colab. Then we are familiar with the Tableau cases. Then in that, they have shared datasets with us. Then we have done many experiments. Overall, it was nice, and I'm waiting for your session, sir.
Okay. That's right. Thank you. So what I will do, since I think I'm finding some problem in my laptop. Okay, I'm connecting through 2 sessions, right? So one is what I will do. I will use my iPad to speak, and to present the PPT, I will use my laptop. I think it is fine with you, right?
Yes, sir. It's fine.
Yeah, because in the laptop there are some problem. The voices are not clear. Even your voices are not clear to me. So that will be better. Yeah, so I have decided like that. I hope now my voice is clear on this iPad.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. What I felt in the laptop, the voice is not clear, and even I think people may not be getting my voice clearly. Right. So thank you very much for this great opportunity by the head of the department and the institute management and other faculties involved in this workshop. Right, that's a topic which is assigned to me is like the current trends in data science, and they have to publish a good paper in good data science journals. Right. So how I would like to take this session, I would like to we'll discuss the current trends in the data science. At the end, I will show you some of the journals which are very important where you can publish your paper and how to publish a papers and how to even write good project proposals on data science. Okay, so that is the way I would like to take this session, okay, to the next level, right? And yeah, are you able to see my, yeah, I think my presentation is you are able to see, right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
You're able- okay, okay, yeah, right. So what do you know about data science? What do you know about data science? Yes. What do you learn from this data science? Why you have to study this data science? We are talking about trends in the data science. Any idea? Anyone can unmute and you can speak. Analysis and interpretation of data. Deepa Daniel says analysis and interpretation of data. Okay. Then what else? Any other idea? Analyze and reach to valid conclusions. Okay. That's fine. Right. So you know that people are talking in different way. The data science, yeah, you have ML and you have artificial intelligence, you have data analytics and so on. What is the difference between this data science and data analytics and machine learning and so on? Any idea? So the data science, which uses the machine learning and AI techniques to find some useful patterns from large amount of data. We can say like that. Okay, it's not only like finding the patterns, which is also like to produce some products. That's called as data science. So when you talk about a data science, you are trying to use the machine learning techniques, okay, to analyze your data, right? That's called as data science. So what is the importance? Why people are talking about data science, and there is a tremendous opportunities are there for data scientists. Why it is so? Because you know that today data is the new oil. Okay, you can see data is the new oil, right? You know that the entire world economy depends on the oil in previous years, but now the data is the new oil which plays a major role in the economic of the country. It's not only economic of the country, economic of the world also, you can say. So wherever you go, you have data, right? So how to analyze such a data, how to dig the required information from such a large amount of data, and how to go for a decision making. You used to call it as decision making, right? Decision information system. But now there is a new topic called decision intelligence. You may heard about artificial intelligence, correct? But now there is another terminology which is coined by the IT industry. It's called as decision intelligence. Okay, how you are going to take a decision by using this intelligence techniques. Okay, so data is the new oil. If you take any applications, you have a data. So how to analyze such a data? You need a data science techniques, or you can say data science methods. So when you talk about data science, where you have this data analytics, where you have this machine learning, all these things comes under that. Okay, and when you talk about the phases in data science, you can see these are the various phases in data science. Okay, you have a data, right? And then you have a data, and then what you are trying to do, you are trying to apply your data science algorithms. Earlier you used to call it as data mining. Okay, now people have thrown a different coin, like different terminology called data science. But earlier days you used to call it as data mining. Okay, where we have two type of mining called predictive data mining and descriptive data mining. Then later on in data analytics, which is called as predictive data analytics and descriptive data analytics. Okay, so when you talk about the data science trends, okay, all it depends on which technique are you going to apply. Okay, right? So if you look at this process, what is the process? You have a data, and then before applying your data science techniques on the data, you have to do an important process called as data pre-processing. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by data pre-processing? Any idea? Yes? Why you have to do data pre-processing? Yes? Any idea?
Convert the data in such a way that the machine can understand and it can learn from the data.
Okay, Dr. Ramani madam. And somebody else also says that data cleaning. Correct. So you will be doing 4 important tasks here. See, the thing is, when you talk about the current trends in the data science, what happens, data science is there. But now there are other field like IoT, okay, and blockchain. Correct. So how you are going to deploy this data science in this IoT and blockchain? Now let us take IoT. Okay, so what is IoT? The devices are interconnected through the networks, right? And the data will be shared. Correct. So now you are going to deploy some sensors to collect the data. What people are trying to do, the data collection is very important steps in data science or data analytics or machine learning, because data are not available ready-madely, right? People will say, I am working on healthcare analytics. Okay, I am working on healthcare data science. But where will get healthcare data? Which hospital is ready to give the healthcare data? That is a question mark. Okay, so see, you may develop a model, right? A healthcare model, but how far the model is good? You need some doctors to validate your model. For that, you have to collect some real-time data. There are a lot of data which are available in the internet. Okay, so how far the data are reliable? That is a question. So collecting data itself is one of the trend. Okay, it's not that much easy actually. Wherever I go, I used to say that please decide your title, PhD title or whatever it may be. First, see to that whether data is available. Say, I can say I am working on, we are going to discuss some more topic on remote sensing, how you can apply the data science on the remote sensing. Simple people say, yeah, I am working on applying geo data science, which is called as, the new terminology is called as geo data science. Okay, if you apply your data science techniques on geoinformatic data, okay, right, like remote sensing data, we can say it is geo data science. Okay, so there, now the question is, we are talking about the data collections. We are talking about data collections. So data should be collected properly. But the thing is, when you deploy the sensors, what are the data which are transmitted by the sensor, whether the data are reliable, that is a question. Because you may get noisy data also, correct? So you have to clean such a noisy data. So you need data pre-processing, correct? You have to clean the noisy data. So how you are going to do that? Okay, what kind of methodology you are going to incorporate? So data cleaning plays a major role. Then second one is, people used to call it as data integration. What is the data integrations? The data are in different format. For example, here I have given 2 data sources. Here one data source and here there is another data source. In this data source, the data may be represented in one format. Here the data may be represented in another format. But when you do data integrations, okay, when you do data integrations, which format you are going to follow? That is the questions, right? Correct? So I may be using 2 satellites of data, but each satellite sensor has a different format. Then how you are going to follow the unified format of data? That is the question. Correct? So in this case, we'll use data integration. Data integration is a process which collects data from various data sources and try to integrate it and put it in one form. That's called as data integrations. Okay. Then the third one is data normalization. What do you mean by data normalization? You might have studied this. And if you refer our IEEE paper, any data science papers, there is a terminology called data standardization. What is that? Data standardization. See, the data may be in different format, okay, but you have to convert into one simple format, or you can say scaling, simple. You may have large scale values and you want to convert into small scale values, then you can go for this data normalization, or you can call it as data standardization. When you refer in theory paper, Okay, in IEEE paper, the terminology is data standardization. But when you come to practical, you used to call it as data normalization. You have to normalize the values. Okay. Then, what is another important data pre-processing? Data reduction. Okay, what do you mean by data reduction? See, no need to search the data science trends everywhere. This space itself, you have all the trends now. Tell me what is data reduction? Yes? What is data reduction? Any idea? Feature reduction. Somebody says feature reductions. Okay. Then?
Categorization of data.
Categorization of data in the sense, madam?
We can classify it into different categories.
No, madam. It will not. Converted to simple form. Anita, madam says converted to simple form. Any other answers?
Transformation of
Yes, madam.
some kind of data to another one.
Some kind of data to another one. Okay. Yeah, I will come to that. So when you talk about data reductions, simple reduction. It means you have large amount of data, but all the large amount of data are not required for your task. So what do you have to do? We have to select the features which are only important for your task. I will give one example. Like you mostly here the participants are faculty. I assume like that. So you are trying to calculate the internal mark of the student, right? When you consider the student data, where you have a lot of features or you can say attributes, correct? Or you can say features or attribute, correct? Like the student name and in internal quiz mark, assignment mark, okay, internal exam mark, right? And then mobile number of the students, address of the students, location of the students, and so on. But while doing while computing the grade of the student, you need only the student name and then only the mark details. You don't want any other features. Okay, so you will select only the features which are important. Only will take your data may have some 10 features, but you will select only 5 features. That's called as data reduction. So when you talk about data reduction, there are two things. One is feature selection and feature extractions. There are two: feature selection and feature extraction. Feature selection, if you have 10 features, you will select any important 5 features. What is feature extractions? There are some features which are redundant. There are some features which are redundant in your data set. So in that case, the two features will be combined and you will get a single features. That is very important for your task. That's called as feature extractions. Now, what is the current trend which is going on this feature extractions or this data reduction? Now people are, instead of talking about feature selection and feature extraction, people are using a term called DASH. What is that?
Dimensionality reduction.
That is there. Then dimensional reduction and data reductions are same. Yeah. You are right, Dr. Ramani madam. Then apart from that, I am expecting one more word. Now when you refer the papers, there is a terminology instead of this feature extractions and feature selections. People are using a term called future engineering. Okay, future engineering. That is the new terminology. That is a trend now. Okay, when you look the feature engineering, nothing. Feature selections and feature extractions. They are talking about all these things. And what is another trend here in the dimensional reduction? What is the current research which is going on this dimensional reduction? What is the problem you have? Yes, any answers can be anything. I think how many of you are doing PhD here? Roughly, you can just put your hands and the symbol.
so that I can see. I hope many of you are maybe doing the research. Can I get some research problem here? At least your research title. Just I request to the participants, those who are doing research, just put your research broad domain in the chat box. Okay, then I will discuss about it later. Okay, now we are talking about this feature engineering, and where now people are talking, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Ramani Madam, dimensionality reduction is one of the core research area. People are working on it. Okay, but I would like to put the same terminology in different way. Instead of saying dimensional reduction, you have I-dimensional data. The problem is, in many applications, the data are I-dimensionals. What do you mean by I-dimensional?
There are I number of features.
I number of features. There will be many features. Okay, so how you are going to tackle this I-dimensional data? Okay, so because your algorithm may not cope up with to handle such I-dimensional data. Okay, once again, to understand the I-dimensional data, we can take the remote sensing data or any image data or video data. Okay, you have I-dimensionals, right? So now people are trying to develop some data science techniques to handle this high-dimensional data. Now you might have heard about in the data dimensional reduction. What is the famous techniques used in our machine learning? There is one unsupervised learning technique.
Deep learning.
Machine learning is a part of data science. So when you talk about machine learning, deep learning is there. Okay, then what else? In machine learning, we have actually three paradigms, right? We have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and then we have reinforcement learning, correct? These are the three paradigms. People mostly they focused on the supervised learning and unsupervised learning, correct? So when you talk about this supervised learning, what is the difference? In the supervised learning, people will be using the data with the class labels. And in unsupervised learning, you will not have any class labels. The data will be analyzed based on the properties of the data, right? So in unsupervised learning, there is a method called PCA. Did you heard about it? Principal Component Analysis. One of the standard method. Okay, Principal Component Analysis is the method which is used to perform this dimensionality reduction. Okay, curse of dimensionality. There is another term called curse of dimensionality, means high dimensionals. Okay, so how you are going to handle this? Okay, how you are going to reduce that? For that, they use PCA. What is the current trend now? How people are talking about this dimensional reduction now? Madam said deep learning. What is the difference between deep learning and machine learning?
In deep learning, the network will extract the features by itself.
Correct. In machine learning, madam?
We have to provide the features.
So you have a separate work. What you have to do? You have data. You have to develop some models for feature selections or feature extractions. Okay, you have to identify the features which are relevant for your task. Then you have to apply our algorithm in data science and machine learning. Correct? So here also you can see the diagram. You have data. So you can say the feature selection is a one part here. You will select the features, and then this will be supplied as input to your data science algorithms. Right? But what is happening in deep learning? The network itself, it learns the features. Okay, there is no separate feature extraction part. There is no feature extraction component at all. Okay, the networks learns the features from the data automatically. Okay, for that you are using CNN, right? A convolutional neural network. Now I'll come to that actual topic which you are discussing. I am talking what is the current trend in dimensionality reduction. Okay, which is comes under this unsupervised learning. We have used PCA, but now in the deep learning, people are using another methodology to perform this high dimensional space to low dimensional space. What is that? Anyone heard about it? autoencoders. I hope some people might have heard about it. Autoencoders. Okay, what it does, it takes the high dimensional data as the input. Okay, there will be two component encoder and decoder. Okay, and the high dimensional data will be converted into embeddings. Okay, when you supply your data as the input to the encoder, then you will get the embeddings. Then if you decode it, you will get the original informations. If you decode that embeddings, you will get the original informations. Okay, so what it does, it takes the high dimensional data and it provides the low dimensional data. Okay, that is the current trend in the dimensional reductions. Okay, and there are some other techniques people are using it. So please understand, when you talk about the trends in data science, there are some traditional algorithm already there. How people are improvising it to handle the current scenario. What is the current scenario? In the current scenario, you have data everywhere. If you take any applications, we have data. So how we are going to handle the data? What kind of methodology we are going to develop to analyze such a data? That is the current trends in data science. Okay. The another important trend in the data science is automation. Okay. You can say automation data science or automation. People are saying that auto ML. You might have heard. Some people might have heard about it. Auto ML. What is that? Every process will be automated. Okay. You will supply the input and you will get the output. What are the processes which are involved in between? Everything is automated. Okay, so that is called as auto ML. Then we have another trend called federated engineering. What is that? Federated engineering. So it's nothing but it's like aggregate engineering. Okay, you'll try to produce some aggregated information and then based on that you'll go for some decision making. Okay, so there are a lot of trend which is going on. Now, I will come to this diagram. So this diagram plays a crucial role. Okay, so you have data and you will apply data pre-processing to remove unwanted data. Okay, if there is a presence of noisy in the data, that will be removed and the data will be cleaned. Okay, and if there are some data and you don't want to consider it, you will remove it. So that's called as data reduction. And if there are data and each attribute in the data are represent different scale, you will try to bring it into one scale. It's called as data standardization. Once you do that, you will go for this data science algorithms. Okay, where as I told you, the machine learning is part of data science, where you have two types of learning, supervised and unsupervised. In supervised, there are two important algorithm or methods you can say. One is classification, another one is prediction. Okay, one is a classification, another one is prediction. Right? All other algorithms comes under this unsupervised learning, like association rule mining, the clustering, outlier reduction, time series analysis. Okay, I will come to one by one. Now, if you look this supervised learning, as I told you, there are two categories, prediction and classification. What is the difference between classification and prediction? Any idea?
Classification is categorical and prediction is continuous.
Correct. So when you look the data, you have discrete and continuous, right? Wherever you have discrete or you can say categorical, you will go for classification. Wherever you have data is continuous or the numerical, then you will go for prediction. So what happens, the data is represented in the form of information table normally. Okay, when you look the information table, you have two type of attributes. One is called as conditional attribute, another one is called as decision attribute. Okay, the attribute which is used to take decision. For example, as I told you, example student, where I would like to classify my student as excellent, good, and average. So I have a grade. Okay, now by using grade attribute, I can able to do that. Correct. So I can say grade is the decision attribute. That's called as, you can call it as decision attribute or class label. Okay. Whatever other attributes are called as conditional attributes. Okay. So when you take this decision attribute or class label, if that value of the attribute is categorical, okay, examples high, low, medium, then we can say that we will go for classification. Suppose the if you take the grade is S grade, A grade, B grade, then it is categorical. Instead of representing grade, I can represent in terms of percentage, 80%, 90, 70, something like that, then I can go for prediction. So if you look the classification, there are many classification algorithms. We have neural network, you have SVM, support vector machine, and we have KNN, K nearest neighbor. Okay. Then you have decision tree, you have Navy Bayesian, and so on. In terms of prediction, we have regression, linear regression, non-linear regressions, multiple linear regressions. And there is one more regression comes under classification, which is called as logistic regression. Correct? Okay. So now, how these techniques are used in current trend? Did you heard about forecasting? Forecasting? What do you mean by forecasting? What do you mean by forecasting? How people are using this for current trend? What is the current trend today all over the world? Particularly in Kerala? What is the problem? You are in pandemic situation, right? So can I say COVID-19 is the problem now, right? So how our data science algorithms are applied, okay, with respect to COVID-19? Any idea? People have developed, okay, many machine learning model and data science models to predict the COVID-19, to analyze the COVID-19, right? And forecastings, we have to predict it. So how it is done? With the help of this prediction model only, okay? With the help of this classification and prediction model only, you are able to develop the
Sir, your voice is breaking.
new prediction models. Weather forecasting. Whether there will be rain or not. In Kerala, there is the monsoon season, right? So whether the rain will be there or not, we have to predict it. So it's called as a forecast. Voice is breaking. Now it is. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. In between, your voice is breaking.
Am I audible now? Madam, am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
So the trend is how you are going as classification, okay, like developing some forecasting models. That is the one. Sharing the and are you able to see my tips loaded?
Yes, sir. The voice is breaking in between.
Madam, am I audible?
No, sir.
Check.
No, sir. Sentences are not clear.
Just wait.
I'm audible. Hello.
Now clear, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Now clear, sir.
Now it's clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So, developing such a forecasting model is also another trend. Okay. So now you have to think of, you have to learn this data science algorithms. We have to learn this data science algorithms in proper way, and we have to apply in different applications. Okay. Let us talk about the two things which you are doing in NITK. How you are applying this data science in new technologies. One is, social media, social network, right? Social networks, right? Examples of social media:
Facebook, WhatsApp,
Facebook, WhatsApp,
Twitter.
okay, Twitter, right? Now, what type of data you are getting there?
Unstructured data.
Huh? Structured data or unstructured data, madam?
Unstructured data.
Unstructured data. Okay. So how to handle such unstructured data? Any idea? Yes. Any idea on this? What are the problems you are getting in social media? What are the problems you're getting in social media?
Privacy issues.
Privacy issues. Okay, then. What else? Madam talked about privacy issues. What else? Okay, did you heard about anomaly detection? Yes. Do you hear about anomaly detection? What is anomaly detection? Yeah, anyone can respond. What is anomaly detection? What is anomaly? What do you mean by anomaly? I have shown in my PPT outlier. What is outlier?
It is the data which is out of our boundary.
Okay, can you define in another way?
Or the data which is not matching with our data.
Okay, right. You are come to the close. Then what else? Any other terminology? I will give one example. Credit card fraud detection. Now you can tell me what is anomaly.
Fraudulent data.
Yeah, what is that? So can I, so like, okay, I'll, as a faculty, you will discuss like this. Suppose you have students. Okay, what the student has to do, what is the characteristics of the student? The faculty gives the assignment, the student has to submit the assignments. Okay, so if there are some students who are not submitting the assignments, I can call them as outlier. So what is the meaning of it? So the patterns which are deviate from the regular behavior called as anomaly. The pattern which deviates from the regular behavior is called as anomaly. Now, if you look, I hope you are able to see my screen. I will show you one more PPT to you. Yeah, I will go for entire screen so that it will be easy. Are you able to see the research work PPT? Yes. Madam, please could you please
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are two important research I am working on it. Okay, these are the two recent trends in the data science. One is anomaly detection in social network analysis. Okay, what do you mean by anomaly? Anomaly is nothing but if you have a data, there are many data points. There are some points which are deviating from the regular points. These points are called as anomaly. So if you look the social network analysis, like today, without phone, nobody is there. And without WhatsApp, nobody is living, correct? You are exchanging all your information through WhatsApp or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn and so on. Now, what is happening recently, many friends have informed that you may be getting a message saying that I asked some money from you. Okay, because of this pandemic, what happened? No, people have misused it. Okay, so like no, I have a friend. Then I'm getting message that he needs some money because in his family somebody is not well. They are admitted in the hospital because of this COVID-19. But actually, that is not truth. It's a fake news. Okay, so you may know that fake news, which is also comes under anomaly detection. Fake news detection is the another recent research trend in the data science. How to analyze the fake news? Okay, whether it may be in social media, even sometimes no, the news may be there are some apps where you are getting everyday news. Okay, there are a lot of news which are fakes. So how to identify such a fake news, or you can call it as anomaly in social network analysis? That is the very recent trend. Even in 2000, if I am right, in 2019, there was a call for from the government of India. They need a good anomaly detection tool to analyze this social network. Okay, so people are working on it. So this is the one recent trend which you are working, where you are applying this data science algorithms. Okay, there you are trying to use the machine learning approaches. Just I will quickly show the other part of it, and then I'll move to the another trend. Now you can see. This is the part of this research work, multi-graph based anomaly detection model for social network analysis using machine learning. As I told you, the machine learning is a part of data science. Okay, so now the objective is how you are going to analyze, okay, how we are going to detect this anomaly in the social network using this machine learning approaches, or you can call it as a data science approach. So this is the social network data will be the input. The Stanford.edu provides, okay, the lot of social network data like Facebook data, Twitter data, and so on. But if you want to work on the real-time data, then you should be the member of the development of Twitter, and you can get some Twitter data, and then you can use it. Okay, right? So you should need this social network data. Then you can apply the data science part, like, or you can say the machine learning part. Here I used to call it as a multi-graph machine learning model. Okay, if I apply on the social networks, my model is able to predict the anomaly. Now you can see you are trying to do this, the G1 and G2, right? These are the normal data. But now you can see F1, this is a point which is completely deviating from this point. These points are all are similar. Okay, they are normal points. And here also all points are similar. And here also these points are roughly similar, but it is also deviating. But if you take F1, it is completely deviated. So I can say F1 is anomaly, F3 is anomaly, it is a single user anomaly, and this is a group of user anomaly, right? There are sometimes more than one person will combine together and they will act as a friends. So community is nothing but people will form a group. Okay, all the friends, for example, if we have a friends group, there are some 20 friends who are very close, we will form a one community. Okay, so in that also there is a possibility of getting some anomaly. Okay, now people are misusing it. So how to detect such anomaly is the one of the biggest or topmost research trend today. Okay, so you can also think about it. So which is referred in different name, like fake news detection, fake user detection. Okay, fake news detection is there. Fake user is the anomaly. The user may be the anomaly. Okay, now another important thing which we must know is when you talk about the social network, how the data are represented. The data are represent the form of graph. The data are represent the form of graph. So automatically you have to use this graph here. Okay, that's why I named it as multi-graph based anomaly detection. So the users will be the node, and the communication between one user to another user will be the edge. Okay, right? So now you have to see a single node may be the anomaly, then it is called as node anomaly detection. There are three things we can do: node anomaly detection, and I think I have some more points to you. This is the yeah, you can see. Okay, you can represent the data are in terms of graph, where we have two type of graphs: static graph and dynamic graph. And you can apply this graph based anomaly detection. It's used in many applications: social networks, telecom networks, security networks, web networks, computer networks, financial, opinion networks. Many things you can apply. Okay, and these are the lot of research work which is carried out in this field. Okay, so what is the research challenge? What is the trend today? You have some models already to find only the node anomaly. But you don't have a unique model, okay, to analyze all type of anomaly, like whether it is a node anomaly or edge anomaly or subgraph anomaly. What do you mean by node anomaly? A single user may be the anomaly. He may be the fake. He may not be the friend, real friend. He is the fake user. Okay, so that's called as node anomaly. Edge anomaly, the communication between that nodes are anomaly. Okay, it is not trustable. Okay, and then the subgraph, more than one user combined together, they used to act as a fake users. They are called as subgraph. Okay, so how to design a single model for all type of anomalies for static and dynamic social network data? We have some static data and dynamic social network data. And another thing is, another trend is, you have traditional data science algorithm, but whether these algorithms are scalable, that is a question. Am I audible to you? Are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how to develop a scalable approaches? Now, what is happening in this case, scalable approaches? What do you mean by scalability? Any idea? What do you mean by scalability?
The size can be increased in future.
Correct. So you might have developed some algorithm today to handle your data. Your data may be 1 terabyte of data. Correct. Later it may be gigabytes of data. Okay. Right. Or zettabytes of data. Whether the same algorithm will handle it? No. Okay. So you have to see to that how far your algorithms are scalable. So developing scalable approaches for detecting anomalies in streaming networks. So idea is to develop some model, and that model should be a scalable model. Okay, right? Oh, the basic idea I will show you here. You can see this is the community detections. These are the see, this is the one community, one friends group, and this is another friends group. Okay, and you can see there are some friends. They are part of both the group. Okay, then these people may be the anomalies. Okay, they may not be friend of this group also. They may not friend of this group also. But okay, they will play in both the group. Okay, so it's called as community detection. We have to detect the communities. Okay, so from the community, we have to identify the people who are playing a role in both the community. So this is the general idea of this work. Actually, this is the work which you are doing, and you got a project. That this is applied to DST, and where you got this project from the. That in the DST, there is a one division called as ICPS, Interdisciplinary Cipher Physical System. Cipher Physical System is another new trend. Okay, where you are using this IoT and the blockchain and the machine learning, AI, and so on. Okay, right? So there is a division called ICPS, Interdisciplinary Cipher Physical System. So through that division, we got this project. And so as I told you, the social network data will be in the graph. And first you will try to detect the community. Okay, so this is the one community and this is another community. And then you will find out a multi-graph. Multi means they are part of both the community. That's why I used to call it as multi. So you have to find this subgraph. Okay, they are part of both the community. That's called as finding multi-graph. Okay, and first to community detection, we'll use some clustering algorithm. What is clustering? Clustering is nothing but grouping the object, which comes under data science. Correct? You have k-means clustering, and then DB scan clustering, and there are many clustering methods. So you can use any one of the clustering method to form the clusters, which will form the community. Then to find the overlap, you will use our new models, okay, to find the multi-graph, right? And then we'll get that particular graph. But now there are three nodes. Whether here a single node may be the anomalous, okay, or a group of node may be the anomalous, or a particular graph itself may be the anomalous. Okay, so this is the methodology we have proposed, and you propose some algorithms to find this community detections, okay, and anomaly detections, and then we have to fix the anomaly. Now the question comes. I have shown another problem is scalability. Okay, how far your algorithms are scalable? That is another one, correct? Okay, so to perform that, you know that people might have heard about it. You have big data concept, right, where you can have large amount of data. So people have used Hadoop configurations to analyze the data. But to handle the streaming data, to perform the scalability, okay, you can go for this Apache Kafka. Okay, Apache Kafka. This Apache Kafka, what it does, it provides the layer. It provides the layer to perform the scalability. Okay, so and also the another advantage of this Kafka is to handle the dynamic streaming data. Okay, dynamic streaming data. Correct. So you can see the input data. It can be any social media. Right. In the previous case, we have used the normal input data. Correct. But now you have our social network data, like it may be Facebook data, or it may be Twitter data, or it may be Orkut or YouTube data. Then it goes to, because these are the dynamic streaming data, right? YouTube, if you take, it's a dynamic streaming data. So it goes to Apache Kafka producers. Then we have Kafka consumers. Okay, it takes this data and then you will try to convert into graph, and you will try to find the multi-graph communities. Then from that you will detect the anomaly nodes. Okay, this is the concept we have used. But now, so what you did whilst this project we have started in the year of 2018. Okay, this project we have started in the 2018, and you have developed some machine learning model or data science models to do that. But later on, now people are working on deep learning, right? So you can say machine learning is a subset of AI, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Okay, now these people are using deep learning networks to analyze this anomaly. Okay, how they are doing it? Just I think I have another slide. If it is there, I will show it to you. Yes, you can see it. Okay, so now you can see same social network data are there. Okay, now we have in deep learning we have GCN. Okay, right? We have RNN and like we have CNN, right? Convolutional neural network and recurrent neural network. But now there is a one more deep learning model which is called as GCN. What is that? What is G stands for? Graph Convolutional Network. Okay, GCN. So if there is any graph data, because you know that the CNN, when there is an introduction of deep learning, people talked about, yeah, it is only used for image processing, it is only used for computer vision, it is only used for medical data analytics and so on. But you have now GCN, this GCN which take care of the graph data also. Okay, if there is any input on graph, okay, how to analyze it. So here what it does, once again, it uses this autoencoder and decoder, autoencoder concept. So what is the purpose of it? It is mainly used to transform the high dimensional data to low dimensional data. Doing so, we can able to detect the anomaly. Okay, so here you have this attributed network encoders where there are multiple hidden layers we have. Okay, and then if you supply this our social network data as input, you will get the embedding vectors. Okay, right? So it is a one intermediate representation of your input data. Okay, the graph will be converted into the intermediate representation that is called as embedding vectors. Okay, for that you are using this layers, multiple 3 hidden layers we have used, and we have used ReLU is the activation function. I hope those who are not familiar with the neural network, you have to read the neural network to understand the deep learning. Okay, we have used the ReLU activation functions. Then, and you have two type of decoders, because what happens, the graph, the user, okay, the user and edge or the structure of the graph, correct? Okay, so you have one decoder for structure reconstructions, because you have the input and you have encoded. It is a coding. Now you have to decode it, no? So we have structure reconstruction decoder. Okay, where you will get the user information and the communication, the edge information. But each user has some followers. For example, if you take Twitter, okay, and how many followers you have, and you want to know the followers of followers, that is called as features, or you can say attributes. Okay, so you have structure reconstruction decoder, and then you have attributed reconstruction decoder. Okay, and you will use this and you will try to get the score and you will compare it. Okay, if the score matches, then it is normal data. If the score is deviating from the threshold, you will have some threshold. Always to fix the threshold is another problem in the data science models. We have to select the appropriate threshold, correct? Okay, so you have to select the appropriate threshold. Then we will compare with the threshold with the score, anomaly score. If the score is if that particular the data anomaly score is greater than particular threshold, then we can say it is anomaly. Okay, then so you can see this is the indication of the anomaly. This is normal, but this point is anomaly, the orange color. This is the new technology people are using it, GCN. Okay, graph convolutional network, right? People are used machine learning for anomaly detection, but now people are using this GCN. Okay, and you have another one called as TCN, temporal CN. That is also people are using it for analyzing time series data. In data science, another important thing is time series data. Okay, so you take stock market data, right? Stock market data, it is a time series data. And there are a lot of ladies participants here, and you know that the gold rate, what is happening in the gold rate? Are you getting same price every day? No, right? The gold rate is fluctuating. The gold rate is fluctuating. It is not similar. It is not same. Okay, so what happens? Always the price of the gold price, morning it will be one rate, afternoon it will be another rate, correct? So how to handle this kind of time series data? But you are working on time series data where you are not working on this stock market. You are working on with respect to remote sensing. Actually, we have some have tie up with the ISRO. Okay, you know ISRO, right? So there you are doing some projects. Okay, how to apply this data science and machine learning and deep learning on this remote sensing data. Okay, remote sensing data, right? So there now the another work which is going on is called as change detection. Another work which is going on is called as a change detection. So where you are trying to predict what is the change which is happened. What is the change which is happened? For example, you can say the coastal region. Actually, I belongs to Tamil Nadu, but I am working in Mangalore. I used to travel up to Coimbatore, it is normal area. Then once I cross this Palakkad, then the coastal region starts, right? So you can see what are the changes which has happened. So I thought of doing that. So we have collected the remote sensing data from NRS. Okay, National Remote Sensing Center, located at Hyderabad. What they are trying to do? They are trying to collect all this satellite data. Okay, so if you want to do any, there is a website called Bhuvan. I think if you are able to see that, I can show you. So this is the website where you are able to see this browser.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the website where you can able to download. Okay, the remote sensing data. Right, you have to select the appropriate one, and we have to do it. Okay, so you are doing a lot of, actually you are working on many remote sensing data applications. The idea is to apply this data science and machine learning models. So another one is the ML and DL in remote sensing applications, as I shown here, where this is the another research area. The candidate is from Kerala only. She is from Kollam. She has just submitted her thesis. So what is that?
Sir, there is no voice. Sir, it is not audible.
are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we are able to hear.
Oh, thank you. I didn't notice that simply I'm speaking and yeah, right. After getting your call only, I noticed that it is cut.
Okay, sir.
Since I'm switching over from one presentation to another presentation. 1 minute.
Okay, sir. No problem.
Are able to see the screen, madam?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yeah, I think I started here and then right. Okay. So what I'm talking about here, I'm sorry. So what I'm talking about here is you are taking remote sensing data and where you are using hyperspectral images, and the problem with the hyperspectral images, curse of dimensionality. Okay. You are discussed in the beginning, right? What is curse of dimensionality? So we'll have I number of dimensions. So how to develop your models. Now here in this hyperspectral images, as I told you, these are the IP and PU and Serena dataset. These are the 3 publicly available data set. Okay, and this is are the sensors they are used while collecting the data, and this is the size of the data and the number of bands. You can see the number of bands. Each data has huge number of bands. That's why it's called as high dimensional data. If you look multispectral images, you will have 10 bands or 12 bands. But when you come to hyperspectral images, you have huge number of bands. Okay. So how to extract the optimal bands from such a hyperspectral images is the research issue. Okay. So what we have developed some hybrid model. Okay. We have developed a hybrid model to extract the optimal bands. What do you mean by hybrid model? You know that the nature of the data, hyperspectral images are by nature it is non-linear. Okay, we have linear and non-linear, correct? So what you did, like if you take PCA, what is PCA? PCA will work on linear data, correct? But if you have for non-linear data, you have kernel PCA, correct? So what you did, first you applied some linear techniques, okay, and you got some output, and then you apply non-linear techniques on that, and you got some optimal bands. So that is the work we have carried out, and you got some good results also. It is published in SCI index paper. Okay, right? So this is the one objective. Then what you did, the second one is once the optimal bands are selected, right? Now you have to classify, you have to discriminate the crop area, correct? So you have to do this hyperspectral image classifications. For that, we have used deep learning techniques. We have used deep learning techniques where the image will have spectral and spatial features. For that, we have used deep learning techniques, and you are able to get the hyperspectral image classifications. Now, after that, what you did, the third work, you had a face a problem. You want to develop the prediction model where you like to use a machine learning. Okay, where you are not able to get the hyperspectral images for that. So we have used some Moody's data, and then you have used the climatic factors like the rain, minimum temperature, maximum temperatures, other things, and we have used vegetation indices. So here we have taken crop is a paddy, and which is implemented. The study area is near to Palakkad. Okay, I think you have the data. I will show you that. I don't have that. It is near to Palakkad, and we have considered that is the study area, and we have applied our deep learning models and as well as the machine learning models. So to predict the yield, we have used a temporal CNN. You can see temporal CNN. Okay, temporal convolutional networks where you have used dilated temporal CNN to predict the yield. Okay, so this is the another work we have worked, and you got some good publications on that. Okay, so like that it goes on. There are various work we have carried out, and what is the another work we have carried out is for ISRO. There are other two works we have done. One is on you know that you Ooty, okay, Ooty, you know Ooty in Tamil Nadu. Yes, Ooty in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is near to Kerala only, right? So what you did in ISRO, there are different centers. Even you have one centers at the near Trivandrum, but you had some tie-up with the ISRO SAC, Space Application Center, located at Gujarat. You have developed a model, data science model for predicting the landslides. Okay, I think I have some slides on that. Just if you allow me, I will open it. So what you did, quickly I will see whether I have that or not. Yes. Yeah, we can able to see this. Yeah, this is the another work we have carried out, which is called as how you can develop, how you can apply data science on disaster management. See, you are talking about how to analyze social network data. That is the one trend. And another one is you're talking about how to apply this data science models on remote sensing data, where particularly on high spectral images and developing crop yield models. Then another one is how you can apply these data science models on disaster management. Okay, so you know what is disaster? You know that the Kerala, the last, I think before this corona, it is completely affected by flood, right? So flood is one disaster, landslide is another disaster, okay, right? And cyclone is another disaster, earthquake is another disasters. So there are some agencies in India like NRDMS, okay, it comes under DST. They are looking for some projects on how people can apply machine learning or data science or data analytics or deep learning models to analyze or to develop some forecasting models for disasters. Okay, right? Because you know that like Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Orissa and Vizag, Andhra Pradesh used to get a lot of problems during this monsoons, like cyclones, okay, and then the flood and so on, right? So here, what is this concept is we have applied our I told no in the data science we have in the unsupervised we have classification and prediction. So here we have used classification models. Okay, we want to classify whether you have a high landslide or low landslide or middle. Okay, like you will take the region and you will check whether the region is prone to high landslide or moderate or low. I means that region you should not at all construct any hotels or any buildings because there is a high scope for the landslide. Okay, so you can say simply, but the process involved in the task is very tedious. Okay, the data is a problem. The ISRO itself not ready to share some data. So you have collected data from various sources, satellite image from, okay, because the Ooty, there are some areas are restricted. Okay, there is another part of ISRO is Dehradun where you have the IRIS, okay, where you have collected some data. So then we have the Survey of India, even we have visited different geological survey of India where they have some basic maps of geomorphology, geology maps, which are already, they have the thematic layers. Okay, actually this is the, there are two field involved. One is geoinformatics, or you can say geoscience, and then data science. Okay, that's why I used to call it as geodata science. Okay, so then you have collected some rainfall data from the study area, that is Ooty, where we have statistical department. They have all the past historical rainfall data. Okay, so all the data are collected, and then some of the data are not with us. So we have deployed our JRF to the Anna University of Tamil Nadu, where they have a remote sensing center. They have some remote sensing images which they are not able to share. So they asked us to allow some people. So we went there and we prepared some maps. So the input is data source, and you can see the data transformation has happened here. You have collected data from various sources, but you have converted all the data into a map, thematical maps. This some of the maps which you collected directly, and some of the maps which you have generated from this data. Okay, then we have constructed this spatial database. We have constructed a spatial database, and then we have did some ranking and weighting mechanism, and then we have used Bayesian classification here. Bayesian classification, maybe Bayesian classification comes under this data science. Okay, what it does, it is used to develop this early warning landslide susceptibility model. Okay, you want to give the early warning to that particular region. Okay, so then you are trying to predict the landslide. Okay, and then we have to validate, right? What is the important thing is in the classification or prediction model, how far your model is doing good. So you need ground truth data. You need a ground truth data. So you did some field study. You can see that myself and my JRF went there, and you have taken the field data, and then you have validated our model. Okay, so this is the map which you have produced and given to the ISRO. Okay, you can see in this map, right? This red color indicates the very high. These are the regions where high prone to landslide, and the green region is the next level. Okay, high. This is red region is very high, and green is high, and this color indicates the moderate, and the another green color indicates the yellow, right? Sorry, low, and then very low, right? Particularly this Kunnu region, and then Kotagiri, all these places used to I think Panda, that places are more prone to landslide. So what you did, you have developed, you have applied our data science techniques, and you got some output, and this is given to ISRO. Now they are using this model which you developed for Sikkim. Okay, you know that Sikkim, right? Sikkim is more prone to landslide, right? So what they are doing, only some of the factors they have to change, because for example, only this geological typology they have to change. Some maps they have to change. The outer layer is same. Only some parameter, the input they have to change it, because the geological nature of the geology of that Sikkim will be different. Okay, and then drainage system will be different, and soil at that particular location will be different. So they have to change this map. Then the remaining framework is same. Okay, so this is the way, and we have to use our data science model for developing in different areas. Okay, it's not only like general applications. We have to think in different direction. Like disaster, we can apply, and now people are working more on medical imagings, like medical data, correct? But the problem is, I don't know how people are getting data. Yeah, in the NITK, Dr. Jenny Ranjan is working on this medical imaging. Okay, where they are using this deep learning models and machine learning models. Okay, and even recently we had myself and Dr. Jenny Ranjan together working tie up with the tuberculosis center located at Chennai. Okay, the idea is to develop automated tool to find the tuberculosis. Okay, so where the idea is to use data science models. What is happening there? What is the problem as of now? Current problem in there is they have one vehicle. They have one vehicle. There they have that X-ray instrument devices and everything. They used to go to the villages. They will collect the X-ray images of the patients from the villages. They will come back to the institute, and then they will do the processing, and then they will find out whether the patient has tuberculosis or not. But now what is the proposal which we have given to them? Automated tool to detect the tuberculosis as well as the level of tuberculosis immediately. So whenever they are capturing the X-ray, if they supply that image as input to our model, my model will say that yes, the patient has tuberculosis or not. Okay, so that project is going on. Okay, so you can think, see, the current trend is nothing but what are the difficulties are there. You might have some sessions on challenges, right? How you are going to come out from the challenges, how people are using this model. If you look very detailed, people are using the traditional algorithm only, but they are doing some changes, they are doing some modifications. Okay, so that we have to do. So as a research, my request to everyone is, you have to think of, doing some projects. That will be good. If you are doing research, you can try to do some projects, like real-time projects, so that it will be easy for you to complete your PhD. Okay, so there are a lot of data, the agencies like DST, DBT. Okay, and these are the agency where am I audible to you? Are you able to listen me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Just I want to check it out. So there are a lot of agencies. They are giving the projects. DST, DBT. Under the DST, there are many divisions, and we have a separate division called SERV. There we have this Young Scientist Award, and then you can go through this website. Just I will quickly show you, so that you will get some practical exposures, and then you can think of doing. Once if you do a good project, you'll get outcome. Then only you can go about publications. Publications will not come directly. We have to produce some good results. Okay, so you can do some publications once if you get the sufficient output. Okay, so when you go for the publications, normally what is happening? Will get rejection. Why? Why you are getting rejections? So this is the website. Are you able to see the browser, madam? Madam, are you able to see the browser?
Yes, sir, we can see.
So this is the website dst.gov.in, where we can see there are a lot of corpus. So there is a DST, JS. This is the Japan integrating, having tie-up with the Japan professors, and you can do that. Okay, there are a lot of such calls. We can go and see that. And then the another website is SER. Okay, where we can see what is. These are the different schemes we have. People must know this. For women itself, there are some young scientists in women also separately. Okay, that you can try. And this is the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Psychophysical System. I told now ICPS. Now what they did actually, this ICPS earlier they used to give individual projects. Now they have established a technological hub at different IITs and NITs. Okay, and even in ISI and Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore. Okay, and for example, ISI Kolkata is the nodal center for data science. Okay, and just in the month of February and March, there is a call for from that technological hub. Okay, any project related to data science, they are ready to sanction. So we have to submit it. Like that, the Indian Institute of Science is for, I think, Psychophysical System. They are doing it. And Patna, IIT Patna is for text analytics. Even actually I thought of covering the text analytics, NLP, Okay, NLP, natural language processing. It's another trend where people are working on it. So where if you look into that, where this sentimental analysis, opinion mining, all these things comes under that. Okay, particularly text classification, text clustering. Okay, so there are many things we can do. Okay, so this ICPS, they have taken hot area like current trends, like for psychophysical system, one institute, and then data science, another institute, then IoT is another institute, blockchain, another institute, thrust area, they used to call it as a thrust area. Okay, now the AICT is also conducting some workshops on this FDPs on thrust areas, right? Something like that. Okay, and then this is for the people who are in backward class, SCST alone. The people who belongs to SCST, they have a different scheme. This is called as empowerment and equality opportunities for excellence in science. Okay, so every year there will be a call for. You should not wait for a call for. What you do, what is my suggestion? You find out the problem with the guide, and you fix it and try to work on it. Okay, you will get some sample results, and once the call comes, you prepare the proposals and you submit it. Okay, and this is startup research grant. Okay, this is the people who are less than 40. Okay, people can apply for this. I think if I'm right, 40 or 45 startup research grant. Okay, this is called as another one, startup grant for young scientists. Okay, it is also there. Okay, and Matrix is another scheme. Okay, so there are many schemes people can apply for a projects. Okay, and even to conduct the workshops, you can apply different schemes here. And we have DBT also, where you can get some proposal projects. And this is the official website of SERB. You can see call for proposal on SERB, AI-based air system modeling. You can see just now we have discussed the landslide and so on. The same thing. I will open it so that you will come to know what is happening currently, what is needed for the government of India. And this is the announcement. Okay, what is ongoing, what is upcoming, everything you can see. Okay, the different scheme of the projects. So I request the participants. These are the closed program. Okay, and how to do the publications. That is another one. Yeah, these are some of the important journals you have to look for. Data science journals. Okay, there are many journals, right? Now people are working on interdisciplinary projects, so we can apply in interdisciplinary journals also. But when you talk about the data science journals, these are the important journals which we have to do. Okay, so first one is that IEEE transactions are very familiar one, where you can apply IEEE transactions on knowledge and data engineering. It is another important journal. Then we have the very large database journal. Then in ACM, with respect to data science, we have ACM transactions on knowledge discovery from data. Okay, so we can just select and browse it so that get that. So this is the journal. On IEEE transactions on knowledge and data engineering. You can see the impact factor is 6.977. Okay, see, don't go for some local journals. You try to publish some standard journals. See, now what is the requirement for all the institute or universities? They are looking for publication of journals in Scopus indexed or SCI index journal or SCIE. Okay, or you can say Web of Science journals. Correct? So you try to this, but it's easy to say, but publishing some paper in IEEE transaction is very complex. So you start with some simple journals, okay, Scopus index journals, and then you can go for this IEEE transactions. Now there are different things like Springer publishers we have, and there are multiple journals. Whatever I am showing is very standard journals, but there are a lot of journals in the Springer and Elsevier. Okay, so you try to do that. And then ACM transactions or knowledge discovery from data, and then data mining and knowledge discovery from Springer. Okay, then knowledge and information system, then data mining and knowledge discovery, then intelligent data analysis, then International Journal of Data Processing and Mining from Australia. Okay, that Monash University, some people, professors from there, they are publishing papers in this IJDWM. And then IEEE Transaction Pattern Analysis and Machine Intelligence, it's another important journal. And then International Journal of Data Mining and Bioinformatics. Okay, and then elsewhere we have data and knowledge engineering. Okay, and then computational statistics and data analysis. Okay, then there are journals in computer. There are many journals. You can just find out and you can publish it. But the thing is how to publish. Okay, yes, these are the journals, but how to do that? So what you have to do, you have to get some good results. Okay, you have to get some good results. For example, here you have to get results like this, and I'll show you. See here. For example, I told no the hybrid CNN based hyperspectral image classification. See, this is the model we have proposed on our own. It's a 2D, 3D CNN model we have proposed. Okay, and you got the results like this. This is the architecture of the model, and the results comparison is like this. We have to do data analysis. Okay, this I should suppose not show, but just for understanding, I'm showing it to you. You have to do a lot of result analysis. See, you have taken different data set, different measures, okay, and different methodology. You can see how I'm comparing with the, for example, here, I'm comparing my proposed method with the various methods, and then different data sets and different parameters, performance measures. Okay, you have to do like this. Okay, so if you get a good result, okay, then only you will get the paper acceptance in the journals. So everyone has to work hardly and try to produce good results so that you will get good publications. Okay, so any queries? So I think I have given some insights and how you can apply this data science models. Okay, right? And so you try to integrate the new areas, like you can think of applying machine learning or data science on blockchain. Okay, now you are also working on blockchain where you are using this data science and machine learning. One is to improve the scalability of the blockchain. As of now, whatever in the blockchain, we have permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain. In the permission blockchain, the thing is, as of now, whatever the Hyperledger, this is one of the blockchain. The problem is it's not able to do more than 3,000 transactions. Okay, but now we have developed the same model. We have improvised it. Our model now it's able to handle 30,000 transactions. Okay, that's called a scalability. And apart from that, you are also working on the interoperability. For that, you are using some machine learning algorithms. Okay, so like that, you can take IoT and you can apply how you can apply this machine learning. Like I have given this landslide project, no, and then another version of this project is which you have submitted, where you are trying to use IoT. Okay, there these data are collected from different places, but now you want to collect the rainfall is the important parameter which induces the landslide, correct? So you want to predict the rainfall first, okay, and you want to apply our data science models. And another research is plant disease detection models, where what you are trying to do, you had a field visit before this COVID, December 2019. December 2019, where you went to Ooty. Once again, the study area is Ooty. The problem is, you know that the tea leaves, okay, tea is very important things for India. Normally in southern part, Kerala and Tamil Nadu plays a crucial role. Okay, Munnar and then Valparai in Tamil Nadu, Munnar in Kerala, and Ooty in Tamil Nadu. These are the regions where you used to get tea leaves. The problem is the production of tea leaves affected by the diseases. Okay, so how to prevent the diseases? Okay, particularly if you take tea leaf, there are many diseases, but one of the important diseases is blister blight. Okay, so how to predict? Okay, how to forecast the diseases? Okay, so you went there and you can't simply go and see the tea estate, right? So you need that estate people cooperations. So there is a one place called Upasi. Okay, it is a private organization. They are doing a lot of research on this tea. Okay, all these tea estate owners are part of it. So they have arranged a meeting, and you have visited some different tea estates, and we have collected real-time images, tea leaf images. Okay, the normal, and then the tea leaves which are affected by this blister blight, and you collected, and then you have applied machine learning models, and also now you are applying this deep learning model to improve the performance. Okay, so if you say research, only thing is with respect to data science or machine learning, data is important. My suggestion is see to that whatever the topic which you are choosing, whether the data are available. The data are available to you. That is very, very important. Okay, if you don't have the data, then it is very difficult. So first thing is data collection. Okay, the research, the first point is data collections. First, see to that data are available. Once it is there, then you decide your topic. Okay, right? And another thing is people will select data, but whether the ground truth data is available, because you have to validate the model. Right? In the data science and machine learning, what is the flow? We have data, we will divide the data into training and testing. You will apply our classification and prediction model, you will get the accuracy. But to check the performance of the accuracy, you need this ground truth data. Okay, so that may not be there, right? So that is another issues. So see to that all the data are available, and try to apply or try to develop some new models. Okay, to try to bring it to some products. Try to bring it to products like tuberculosis. No, you like to produce some product to them. Okay, so try to bring your research into this product. That is the ultimate aim of this data science. So with this, I am open to queries. So if you have any queries, you are most welcome. And if you have any doubts, you can. This is my mail ID, and another mail ID is Shakti at natk.edu. Are able to see my PPT? This is my mail ID. So if you have any queries or any help regarding this data science, machine learning, or deep learning, okay, you are welcome. We'll do it. No issues. Thank you. Hello, madam.
Yes, sir. Is there any queries from anyone?
You can ask. There is no issues. You can ask me. That's not a problem. Or you can mail me. No issues.
Is there anyone to say the feedback about this? Okay, sir. There is one question in the chat box.
Yes, I noticed. Any publication of journals in Scopus without fee? Yes, madam. There are a lot of journals. You can go for it. I think. Which area you are working? Can I get that information?
Sir, malware classification.
On IoT. Malware classification on
Malware
IoT.
classification of IoT. Madam, simple thing is you have the journal finder. You know about journal finder?
No, sir.
So you go to this journal finder in the website where you just give the keywords. Okay, you just give the
Okay.
keywords. Okay, malware identifications in IoT. Then it will give you the journals which are suitable to you.
Okay.
And what you do and open that journal and go there. There should not be fees. Okay. There are some journals only they are collecting the fees, but standard journals they are not collecting fees for the publication.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, any other queries?
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
Audible? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the nice session. For the first time, I got an opportunity like this. You have given us a great insights on the journal publication as well as the data science and engineering. I'm very thankful to you, sir. I'm very thankful to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you.